About 2 years ago, we did a story on a collection of World War II newspapers being donated to the North Myrtle Beach Area Historical Museum. And in the process, I was lucky enough to meet World War II veteran Gus Preno and show him these papers and stories that he'd never seen before. He just lived. At the time, Gus was 106 years old, still sharp as a tack, able to recount D-Day in fascinating detail. And this past Sunday, Gus celebrated his 108th birthday. While there's no official record we could find, there's a good chance that makes Gus the oldest man in South Carolina. I caught up with him to reflect on 108 years lived and the one thing he'd impart on all of us. When you first see or talk to Gus Preno, it's hard to believe he's 108 years old. How's that feel?
Feels pretty good.
Yeah?
I wish I fit better physically, but you know, I can't expect to feel like I'm 80 when I'm not.
Born in 1917, Gus has gotten more out of life than most of us could ever dream. Even so, he still feels just like anybody else. What's the secret? I'm sure people ask you that when they find out your age.
Well, I don't know. I don't have the answer to it. Really, I don't. I wish I did. I could pass it on to other people. Yeah. But I've left a normal life and nothing special, you know.
That normal life includes what students were reading about in history books in the 1950s.
The worst depression this country ever had when I was a young boy. And of course I paid the price for it, along with millions of others at the time, 1927, 29. That's when the terrible depression hit the country, and it was awful. And that's one of the things that sticks out. And the other thing, of course, is the war. You know, World War II.
Of course, there's also been plenty of fun over the course of nearly 11 decades.
The best time for music?
Yeah.
In my time, it was the Frank Sinatra days.
Yeah.
Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, that group, you know, that was...
The Rat Pack, still listen
to them? They were my heroes, boy.
But nothing's meant more to Gus than family. He started his with his wife, Mary, who he married in 1944 after being set up on a blind date by a shipmate.
So we were coming back to New York for repairs to our ship. And he said to me, how about if I ask Pat if she's got a friend? Pat was his girlfriend's name. And we'll see if we go to the dinner or something, meet in New York City. That started it. We went to dinner, you know. Mm-hmm. And that ended up with a 69-year marriage.
Their love leading to 2 children, 3 grandkids, and 4 great-grandchildren. How does it feel to leave a family tree like that, a legacy like that?
I think it's wonderful. I wish there was more of it, you know. I wish there was more of it. And I'm very fortunate that I have it.
Family, the single most important thing Gus takes away from his, so far, 108 years, and hopes we do too, no matter how many years any of us have left. And you could just tell everybody across the world one thing that you've learned and you wish you could leave on to people, what would that be?
Well, the thing it's easy for me to say because it's the way I feel, and that's family. Love your family. Never lose sight of what they meant to you.
Gus celebrated his 108th birthday this past Sunday with his family at the Chestnut Hill Restaurant in Myrtle Beach.